the notification alert that appeared on millions of Canadian smartphones this past Tuesday carried news that would reshape the streaming landscape in ways nobody had anticipated. Netflix Canada had just confirmed what viewers across the country were already discovering for themselves. Northbound, the gritty mystery series about a stranded Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer haunted by his dark past, had become the most-watched show in Canadian television history within just 7 days of its release. The achievement was unprecedented, not just for its speed, but for what it represented. About the hunger Canadians had been feeling for authentic storytelling that reflected their own experiences, landscapes, and cultural identity in ways that Hollywood productions had never quite managed to capture. Set against the breathtaking and unforgiving backdrop of Canada's Yukon territory, Northbound tells the story of Sergeant Marcus Reid, a disgraced RCMP officer whose career imploded after a corruption scandal in southern Ontario forced him into what was meant to be temporary exile in the remote northern wilderness. When a severe blizzard cuts off all communication and transportation links to the outside world, Reid finds himself completely isolated in the small community of Ravens Creek, population 437, where a series of mysterious disappearances begins to unfold. As the body count rises and paranoia grips the tight-knit community, Reid must confront not only the killers stalking the frozen landscape, but also the demons from his past that followed him north and threatened to destroy any chance he has at redemption. The show's meteoric rise to the top of Canadian viewing charts mirrors the success of other authentically Canadian productions that have captured the imagination of domestic audiences in recent years. Much like the enduring popularity of Murdoch Mysteries, which continues to air in multiple countries, including Australia, where it runs on Channel 7, to every Thursday night, Northbound tapped into something deeper than entertainment value. Canadian viewers, long accustomed to seeing their country portrayed through the lens of American or British productions, found themselves riveted by a story that understood the unique challenges of law enforcement in Canada's vast and sparsely populated territories, where officers often work alone for months at a time, hundreds of miles from backup or support. The creative team behind Northbound had spent over 3 years researching the realities of policing in Canada's northern territories, conducting extensive interviews with RCMP officers who had served in remote postings throughout the Yukon Northwest Territories and Nunavut. Their commitment to authenticity showed in every frame, from the realistic portrayal of subarctic survival challenges to the complex relationships between law enforcement and Indigenous communities. This attention to detail echoed the approach of recent documentary series like Yukon Rescue, which showcased the Yukoners, who keep people safe in the rugged Canadian North. But Northbound elevated these real-world challenges into the realm of psychological thriller, creating a viewing experience that was both educational and utterly gripping. The casting of Northbound proved to be another stroke of genius that contributed significantly to its overwhelming success. The show's creators had deliberately chosen to cast primarily Canadian actors, many of whom had previously struggled to find substantial roles in an industry dominated by American productions. The lead actor who portrayed the troubled Sergeant Reid brought a weathered authenticity to the role that resonated deeply with Canadian audiences who had grown tired of polished Hollywood interpretations of their country's law enforcement officers. Supporting cast members, many of whom were Indigenous actors from northern communities, provided performances that added layers of cultural complexity and emotional depth that elevated the show far beyond typical police procedural territory. The technical achievement of filming Northbound under extreme northern conditions became almost as much of a story as the show itself. Production teams endured temperatures that regularly dropped below -40°C, equipment failures caused by extreme cold, and logistical challenges that would have defeated less committed filmmakers. The stunning cinematography that resulted from these hardships captured the Yukon's landscape in ways that had never been seen before on television, with sweeping shots of snow-covered mountains, frozen lakes, and aurora borealis displays that served not just as beautiful backdrops, but as integral elements of the storytelling. The harsh environment became a character in its own right, creating an atmosphere of isolation and vulnerability that amplified every moment of tension and suspense. What set Northbound apart from other mystery series was its unflinching exploration of themes that specifically resonated with Canadian audiences. The show addressed issues of institutional corruption, the challenges of maintaining law and order in sparsely populated areas, the complex relationships between different cultural communities, and the psychological toll of extreme isolation on individuals charged with protecting others. These themes built upon the foundation laid by other successful Canadian crime dramas, like the shows featuring former RCMP officers turned investigators, and gritty character-driven crime dramas following detectives in major Canadian cities. But Northbound pushed these concepts into new territory by examining how these challenges played out in Canada's most remote and unforgiving environments. The social media phenomenon that surrounded Northbound's release demonstrated the power of authentic Canadian storytelling to capture not just domestic attention, but international curiosity as well. Within hours of the show's debut, hashtags related to the series were trending across Canadian social media platforms, with viewers sharing everything from behind-the-scenes production photos to detailed analyses of the show's portrayal of Northern Indigenous culture. International viewers, particularly those in Scandinavian countries with similar northern climates and cultural challenges, began seeking out ways to access the series, leading to speculation about potential international distribution deals that could bring Canadian storytelling to a global audience hungry for alternatives to American television dominance. The economic impact of Northbound's success extended far beyond Netflix's subscription numbers, creating ripple effects throughout Canada's entertainment industry that had been struggling for years to compete with better-funded American productions. The show's success proved that Canadian audiences would enthusiastically support homegrown content when it met their standards for quality, authenticity, and cultural relevance. This demonstration of market demand led to increased investment discussions among Canadian production companies, government funding agencies, and streaming platforms, all of whom recognized that Northbound had potentially opened the door to a new era of Canadian television production that could compete successfully both domestically and internationally. As Northbound continued to dominate Canadian viewing statistics and generate unprecedented levels of audience engagement, industry analysts began to recognize that the show represented more than just a successful television series. It had become a cultural phenomenon that demonstrated the untapped potential of Canadian storytelling when given adequate resources, creative freedom, and distribution platforms capable of reaching the audiences hungry for authentic content. The success of Sergeant Marcus Reid's dark journey through the frozen wilderness had proven that Canadian audiences were ready to embrace stories that reflected their own experiences, challenges, and landscapes, setting the stage for what many hoped would be a renaissance in Canadian television production that could challenge the dominance of imported entertainment and create a truly distinctive voice in the global streaming landscape. What do you think about Northbound's incredible success? Does this prove that Canadian audiences have been underserved by the entertainment industry? Or is this just a lucky combination of good storytelling and perfect timing? Could this be the beginning of a new golden age for Canadian television, where our stories finally get the recognition and resources they deserve? The answers to these questions might determine whether Northbound becomes an isolated success story, or the first chapter in a broader transformation of how Canadian content competes on the world stage. That concludes our exploration of this remarkable Canadian television phenomenon. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the entertainment industry and want to stay updated on the latest trends in streaming, Canadian culture, and media analysis, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Share this video with anyone who loves great television or is interested in the future of Canadian storytelling. Until next time, this is West is Best, bringing you the stories that shape our cultural landscape.